My name is Jane Kim, and I'm going to present to you a PowerPoint on game visual art styles. First off, we have stylized. Stylized games allow the developers to be more creative. Instead of using realistic assets and designs, for developers would change around with the proportions. For example, making the characters have big eyes, small face, and an anime or comic book style. Silhouettes of characters can heavily impact in the game's popularity. For the players to recognize a character from only the blacked out version of them is a skill many artists work with. Shapes, forms, and most importantly, colors help players recognize a character faster. For example, people would normally associate the colors red and green with the characters Mario and Luigi. There are a few games that are known to have a stylized game visual. Genshin Impact is an open world multiplayer game where you play through the quests, collect, and level up your characters. This game uses outlines to emphasize an anime like art style. Splatoon's style is unique and colorful as it squashes and stretches the proportions of the characters in the game. Characters would usually have large heads and big eyes in contrast to their smaller bodies. Next, we have Sky Children of the Light. It's an original mobile game that has widened its player base by increasing its availability on other consoles. The character you play in this game has a simpler design. However, developers has made the characters with different heights and silhouettes. Cell shading. Cell shading, also referred as toon shading, is a style used to make 3D objects look and feel 2D. Artists would use this in games to give these 3D assets a more cartoony look. It can vary from having a comic like style to a more realistic textures, however, still retaining the 2D look. Performance wise, it can run as any other games do, having advantages like reducing the time it takes to create a texture or asset. This art style is favored among many game developers. However, development costs like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, taking approximately over $12 million to develop, is highly unappealing to most indie artists. Some examples of this style is Legend of Zelda. It has a more simple style of cell shading, using solid colors and adding simple shadows to the 3D model makes the character more cartoony. Persona 5 is another cell shaded game that uses a notably black outline on its characters, which ties in perfectly with the anime like style as it makes the character look more hand drawn, in sense 2D. Borderlands is the game most popular for its cell shaded style. Detailed character designs and assets, followed by the same black outline, makes the game stand out. Isometric art. Isometric art is the art of making things look three-dimensional on a 2D plane. Isometric art can show more details in comparison to top-down art styles. The camera is normally faced so that the world is tilted 45 degrees. It follows a 45 to 45 rule. Having the camera tilted this way also aids the 3D look to the game. Many choose this style of art for their games because it gives more depth and a more unique gameplay. It also allows them to mix 2D and 3D assets together. Cookie Run Kingdom, mostly famous for its collectible characters, has isometric art in the home area. Don't Starve also has isometric art in the game. This paired with the 2D cutout style character you play as makes you notice the more 3D dimensions around you. Stardew Valley has similar aspects to Cookie Run Kingdom when designing your own home space. However, in Stardew Valley, you're able to download different texture packs to have the game more aesthetically pleasing. Here are some examples of what isometric art would look like in game. Moving on, we have low poly. Low poly art styles is a 3D modeling style, using a minimalistic art style with simple geometric shapes and flat colors. Many low poly games focus on gameplay and creativity rather than realistic graphics or visuals. This style of game art gives the game itself a more retro look to it, as it was mostly used in older games. Tabs, short for Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. Having a variety of different characters in the colors red or blue, this game also has beautiful lighting that easily shows the player the number of planes shown on the character. Octodad also uses the low poly style and focuses on the interactions with the characters and objects in the games. Mario Kart 64 is an older version of a Mario Kart. They use low poly for the game to function smoothly using cartridges. The characters on screen are all flat, low poly assets that are directed towards the camera. This makes it so that the world inside Mario Kart looks 3D. Then we have rotoscoping. Rotoscoping is an animation technique used to create more realistic movements and enhances the overall gaming experience. To be able to do this, the animators would trace over a live action footage frame by frame. It's a meticulous process that requires a lot of attention to detail, but it can make the characters in game look incredibly lifelike. Some games, including The Walking Dead, Mortal Kombat, and Prince of Persia, all use rotoscoping in their gameplay. As you can see, they all have a more realistic style of art, which the rotoscoping can enhance even more. Now we'll be talking about some artists and their concept designs. James Cline, born in 1945, is most famous for his concept art featured in Star Wars and Oblivion. Here are some examples of his work. He mainly focuses on atmosphere and scenery when drawing. As you can see, he creates amazingly detailed work. If you look closely, you can see that he uses an angled brush and many textured brushes. Adam Adamowicz, born 1968, is famous for his concept art in games like The Elder Scrolls and Fallout. Some examples of his work include character design and some scenes, but mainly character design. Some work includes detailed and labeled drawings of different monsters and characters alike. He also shows the difference in size when needed. Color-wise, he uses more muted, earthy colors as it matches his art style and the style of the game he is designing for. Finally, we will be looking at the concept art from Hironobu Sakaguchi. Born in 1962, Hironobu is the creator of Final Fantasy. Being both an artist and writer allows him to write out the characters and draw them as he imagines them to be. Here are some of his works that he created for his game. Along with having fully rendered pieces of art, he also has character concept art in black and white. His art is also extremely detailed and well textured and works well with the game.